Well, welcome everyone to the Tuesday, July 8th, 2025 regular meeting of the Troutdale City Council. And we'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Glenn, would you lead us here?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sarah, please call the roll.
Sure. Counselor Andrews.
Here.
Counselor Allen.
Here.
Counselor One.
Present.
Counselor White.
Here.
Counselor Davidson.
Here.
Counselor Leamy.
Here.
And Mayor Rittman.
Here. All right, Ray, is there an agenda update?
Yes, Mayor, we are adding a 3.4, which is simply an update on the work of the Public Safety Delivery Working Group. I neglected to get that on the calendar because we need to make sure you get an update every month as part of the council's resolution. So I will give you a short update at 3.4.
Very good, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 2, which is public comment. Public comment on non-agenda and consent agenda items is welcome at this time. Public comment on agenda items will be taken at the time the item is considered. Public comments should be directed to the presiding officer and limited to matters of community interest or related to matters which may or could come before council. Each speaker shall be limited to 5 minutes for each agenda item unless a different amount of time is allowed by the presiding officer with consent of the council. The council and mayor should avoid immediate or protracted responses to citizen comments. So would anyone care to address the Troutdale City Council during public comment? I'll start with people on Zoom. Anyone on Zoom? And I don't see anyone, so we'll, how about here in the room? Anyone in the room wish to address the City Council on public comment? All right, I'll close public comment and we'll move on to agenda item number 3.1. A resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Tourism Commission for a 2024-2025 competitive program grant.
Hello, Mayor Rittman and councilors. Thanks for having us tonight. As a reminder, I'm Marley Boxler, Economic Development Coordinator, and Erica Palmer, Community Development Director. And we have a short presentation for you. Sarah, I don't know if you want to.
It does. Sure.
Oh.
Give me a second to launch my
Just to, while she's pulling that up, I'll just state that in your packet, you received a staff report from us recapping what the Sandy River Shuttle feasibility study was about and what the grant we originally received was and what we have just received. And then there's also the grant agreement that is in there as attachment A. Attachment B is the full final Sandy River Shuttle feasibility study from April. It's very long, so it takes up the majority of your packet. And then item C is a Glenotto Park and Dabney State Park visitation reports from 2017 and 2024. We use that data to help inform our grant application and ultimately receive the grant application. And the last attachment, I believe, is the resolution itself, which is what you will all be deciding on tonight. So, as I mentioned, this feasibility study was funded through a Travel Oregon grant. We've got their logo up there, and Kittleson and Associates was our consultant group that assisted us with this. A little bit of a project overview. You may all recall that we did a destination strategy that covered 2023 to 2038. And it had a number of different impact areas and objectives that we wanted to meet. And this Sandy River Shuttle concept was sort of included in 3 of the different impact areas, the largest one being impact area B, which is increased connectivity with the wild and scenic Sandy River while protecting its ecological values. However, there's also connections with impact area A, which is become the gateway to the Columbia River Gorge and a base camp for car travel. And then impact area C, which is improve the vibrancy of our quaint downtown by evolving the visitor experience. That one is specifically because we've always been looking at ways that the shuttle could also enhance downtown visitation through better connecting people who are going to the Sandy River to our downtown. And then following that destination strategy, we received a $100,000 grant from Travel Oregon to conduct the Sandy River Shuttle feasibility study, which, as I mentioned, is included in your packet. And following that, we applied for and received a $150,000 grant from Travel Oregon to actually conduct the Sandy River Shuttle pilot itself. So if you all approve the resolution tonight, that's the IGA with Travel Oregon, what we will have funding for is the pilot program report and evaluation, and then also a subsidy for the shuttle service itself. This would help us keep the rates for the shuttle service lower than what it would be if it was completely operated through a private contractor, which will hopefully make it more accessible to more people and help us continue to spread the word about it. So a little bit of timeline. We started working on this project in spring of 2024 after we had received the previous grant. So we did a lot of background review, including case studies and interviews, and we convened a technical advisory committee. And following that, we worked on the existing conditions and an opportunity analysis. This also included a public engagement survey where we actually went on site to the Sandy River and to other river locations around the Portland Metro and conducted surveys to get some feedback on whether this was a good idea, what would people like to see out of it, so on and so forth. And then we did an alternatives analysis and evaluation, and that involved another public engagement process, and we drafted those alternatives. And then finally, we made the shuttle feasibility report, and we received notification from Travel Oregon that we received this next grant in that process. So the pilot program timeline would begin now, this summer, collecting baseline data on the Sandy River. So looking at the current impact of visitation to the parks and evaluating, what is the parking impact, what is the trash impact, what are some of the, are the parks filling up at capacity, what days are the busiest, all sorts of different information. And we would be doing additional public engagement surveys to try to determine more specifics around what the pilot should look like. And then between the end of this summer and next summer, we would be doing the the public engagement, marketing, and logistics. So getting the marketing materials, coming up with the public engagement strategy, all of the logistics such as wayfinding, signage, maps, river safety information, all that sort of stuff. And then the pilot would begin in spring of 2026. And we anticipate that with the funding we received to subsidize it, that we could run it on the weekends and holidays between Memorial Day and Labor Day. We're hoping that we can do 2 shuttles. However, we know we have enough to subsidize 1 shuttle. And then we'll also be doing more survey collection. And then finally, in the fall of next year, we'll have that shuttle evaluation report. This is a visual of the proposed pilot route. So we have identified a concessionaire that would work with us on this pilot program, and that is Sasquatch Shuttles, who has a storefront in the outlet mall. So the outlets would be involved in this proposal. That would be the starting location, and one of the things we identified from the public engagement and through conversations with our park staff and state park staff is that this is only feasible if we have another parking location that can help offset some of that parking impact. So the outlets is where it would originate. There would be a flag stop in the downtown, so it wouldn't necessarily stop every single time, but if someone was waiting for it, it could stop, and if someone flagged the bus down to stop, it could stop. It would stop at Glen Auto Park, and then again at Dabney, and then come back the exact same way it came. As I said, we're estimating 2 to 3 buses operating on the weekends and holidays, Memorial Day to Labor Day. And we're anticipating that instead of charging per ride, because it wouldn't be a free service, we're not trying to subsidize it entirely because in the long term, it's not feasible that it would be free forever. So we don't want to create something that we have to then take back later. So we're anticipating that it would be like a day use pass. So you could take the shuttle as many times as you wanted. So if you did want to float the whole Sandy River and then go downtown for lunch, you could do something like that. That was one of the ideas that we had to help improve the relationship with downtown. Also, you don't have to float the Sandy River. You could just go to one of the parks, or you could just go to downtown and take the shuttle if you wanted to. Another thing that we identified through this process was that there are a number of different stakeholders and there are a number of different partner organizations, and we will likely all have very different measures of success. A lot of us would agree that they're all valuable measures of success, but what is the City of Troutdale's measure of success might be different than what is the Oregon State Parks measure of success. So these were the different performance measures that we've identified and that we'll be studying during this evaluation process for the pilot. So, and that's that. And let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions about that, about the grant? Yes, Glenn.
So if they're gonna float, is there a place on the shuttle for them to put like rafts and interview them? Okay.
Yeah, so we anticipate that in working with Sasquatch Shuttle, they would be the concessionaire for the floats as well. So you could rent a float through them. We won't be responsible for purchasing any of the floats or maintaining any of the floats. That would be something that they rent separately. And I believe what they're hoping to do is have all of them at Dabney at the beginning of the day, and then have them come to Glen Auto. Like, you know, they get out at Glen Auto, and we keep them there until the end of the day when they take them back, and we come up with a storage solution for that. They're also looking at whether or not they can work with state parks to add a pump at Dabney, which could be utilized by other people as well. So if you brought your own float on, you wouldn't be allowed to bring it on already blown up. It would be something that you would blow up at Dabney, and they'd have that resource there.
And at Glen Auto, are they gonna go into the park and park like where the old bus stop was? Is that the idea?
Yeah, we haven't figured out the exact, logistics of how they navigate the parking lot, but given that the bus does not currently operate there and we do have an existing bus stop and some of the infrastructure already in place, we anticipate we would utilize that and come up with a way of using that.
They're not just gonna stop at the entrance and then?
No.
What if it's a big success, and then what? What does that look like?
Well, I think if it's a big success, we have other examples of big successes. I mean, a lot of you are probably familiar with the ride, the Deschutes one. I don't remember the exact name of what it's called, but a lot of people go to Bend and float on the Deschutes River and take the public transportation for that. I think that this study period will give us a decent amount of time to evaluate what that looks like and how the city is involved in the future. This grant doesn't commit us to providing any sort of funding in the long term, or beyond what this becomes, but it's likely. One of the things we did identify is that it's not feasible for the city to operate this service. It's more feasible for us to work with the concessionaire. and partner with state parks to get a concessionaire agreement. And state parks has a much more thorough concessionaire process that you have to go through, that has to be open to the public. And it's not something, we don't have a ton of instances where that happens in the city, but they do it at almost all of their parks regularly. So they have a whole department that just handles that. And we would lean on them for support for creating that concessionaire agreement and working with them to create a long-term plan around that.
And then one last question I have is, did you consider having that shuttle come through town so they kind of see what we have to offer?
Yeah, so it does, the proposed route does come through downtown. It doesn't go on the highway, and it'll basically come up to 57th and turn left on the historic Columbia River
I
Highway.
was misinterpreting the map.
Yeah, so in the flag stop would be at the visitor center, which is also a public restroom that's ADA accessible. So there's a lot of benefit for that stop being there too.
How long is the ride from the factory outlet to Dabney? How much time?
That's a great question that I should know the answer to off the top of my head, and it's somewhere in this very long document.
It's about 3 miles, less than 3 miles, because it's just right past the Stark Street Bridge.
I don't believe it takes very long when you're driving in your car. When you add the bus stops, it does add additional time to it. And it's, oh, wow, sorry, that was really loud. Let's see here. So it looks like they're estimating, I really don't think that's accurate, but it says if it was one bus, it'd be every 95 minutes, but that's taking into account like a 15-minute stop at each. There's like a designated amount of time that you have to wait at each stop that's accounted for in that as well, and so they estimated high on that. I think that if we had 3 buses running, we'd be looking at around 30 minutes between each bus arriving, so.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Carol.
No, that was one of the questions I had. When I was reading it, it was like 75 or 95 minutes. I was wanting to know, like, what that entails, so I have to sit. So if we're just running one bus, my family and I would be waiting at a station when we're done for an hour? Is that what that's telling me?
Potentially.
That's a long time. So if we're doing 2 buses, it looked like we were doing a half hour, is that right?
Yeah.
So have we looked into, I know this is just a study, so if people, are we doing a survey during that? So if people respond to that survey, I know I, just looking at it would be, I'm concerned about waiting in the sun for an hour for a bus to come get me and my family after I've had my fun for the day.
Yeah.
So I was a little concerned about that. The other one is, if they're down, they park at the outlet mall, I'm assuming they can park there all day long, and there's not gonna be an issue with parking where people can move, at least at this point.
Hopefully not. The outlet mall parking is a private parking lot and not a public parking lot. But Sasquatch, that is one of the benefits of Sasquatch shuttles being our concessionaire, is they have a lease agreement with the outlet mall, and they have the correct insurance that covers, both their shuttle operations and their customers parking there and whatnot, so.
Where is Sasquatch in there? Because I was just down there and are they inside the building?
It is in between, yes, they have a storefront. So they actually have a store there. It's called Sasquatch Adventures down there because they have a retail store in addition to the bus. And it's in between the Christian store outlet and the jiu-jitsu place, which is, if you're driving in, the back right corner.
Oh, okay, over here, that's why.
In the southeast corner.
Thank you.
Other questions? Jeffrey, Zach, any questions?
Nope, those were already covered for me, thanks.
Okay, well, we'll move on to the public comment. Let me see if there's any public questions. So, Anyone on Zoom wish to ask Marley or Erica about this grant program? We're going to be voting on a resolution accepting it. Seeing no one, anyone in the council chambers wish to comment or ask questions? Okay, seeing no one, thank you so much. And it really sounds like a great idea. Let's see how it works.
That's right. Great pilot.
The matters before us, I would entertain a motion. It's a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Tourism Commission for a 2024-2025 competitive grants program grant.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Glenn, go for it.
All right. I move we approve Resolution 3.1 for an intergovernmental agreement with the Oregon Tourism Commission for a 2024-2025 competitive program grant.
Second, anybody?
I'll second.
All right. Sarah, please call the roll.
Okay. Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Davidson,
Yes.
Counselor Levy,
Yes.
Counselor Andrews,
Yes.
Counselor Allen,
Yes.
Counselor One,
Yes.
and Mayor Redmond.
Yes. All right. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item 3.2, a resolution appointing Michael Weston to the position of city manager of the city of Troutdale effective August 25th, 2025.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Thank you. Yes, as had in the packet there, sort of the, well, not quite the last step, but close to the last step in this recruitment process. And as we had discussed at the last meeting, it was to go forward and work on getting the employment agreement negotiated and finalized to bring back to you for official approval of that agreement, as well as the resolution which provides for your official appointment of Mike Weston to be the city manager, as was mentioned in the resolution, effective August 25th. The timeline that's been discussed with Mr. Weston is we would go through this process here. We hopefully will be able to get the paperwork and signed resolutions here on maybe Thursday, get paperwork to him. He is planning on having a meeting with his existing city council, I believe it's next Wednesday evening, to provide them with his official notice. His existing employment contract provides for a 30-day notice, and while it does allow them to accelerate, if they so choose, given the number of issues that are being processed over there, he doesn't think that that's likely. So we are both assuming that he's going to need to work through that entire time frame, which brings us out to a weekend in the middle of August. He naturally has some personal matters to take care of between that position and starting here, so he's got a week in between there to take care of a number of items on the home front, and then is scheduled to start, as it indicates in the resolution, on Monday the 25th. Mr. Young has consented to begin on that same day as a transition advisor, as he is committed from the very beginning. When he provided notice to the council, he wants the handoff and the transition and the next manager to be successful. So we'll be on board for that process for a number of weeks, kind of depending on how that goes and the degree of collaboration that they need to accomplish on a number of fronts. We already have, Mr. Weston is already scheduled for evening meetings his first 2 days of his start. He'll be at the PSWAG meeting the first night, and his second day is the next scheduled city council meeting. So that's sort of the timeline. The attached to or included in the packet is the negotiated employment agreement. Had some updates from the shell or the draft agreement that provided. Worked through those and made those necessary adjustments to address items Mr. Weston and his council's review. Benefits package is comparable to both what Mr. Young has in his contract, as well as a tweak here or there related to what Mr. Weston is currently familiar with. I think I mentioned in the staff report that the salary is a bit above the midpoint. It is higher than what I had discussed with you. Part of that was things were moving quickly, and I didn't look at kind of all the landscape. I was a bit too focused on the recruitment range. I needed to go back and take into account what the salaries were of his direct reports. And so this is between what he had asked for, which was 200, and it's 1% above what the second highest paid city employee would be, which wouldn't be appropriate for him to be making less than his direct reports. So that's sort of how we ended up negotiating back and forth and coming to that particular dollar amount. But I am happy to address any questions that the council may have on the employment agreement or anything else in the staff report or resolution.
Questions? Anybody?
I do appreciate you explaining that, Eric, because I did have that part circled. Because I went back and looked at our notes of whatever we agreed, and then, you know, I did call and talk to Dave because I was confused as to the amount and why. So I appreciate you being transparent and explaining it to us so we can understand
Absolutely.
why the amount was different.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Anyone else on the council? If not, we're going to be voting on a resolution appointing Mike Weston as city manager. Let me first see if there's any public comment. And out on Zoom, anybody on Zoom wish to address the city council on this matter? And seeing no one, anyone in council chamber? Yes, please.
Where's Mr. Weston coming from?
Why don't you, if you have questions, and that's fine, just come on up and state your name and where you live. And
Hello, my name is Stephen Emerson. I live on the east side of Gresham, on the border with Troutdale. I just wondered where Mr. Weston was coming from.
he's city manager in King City, Oregon.
Thank you.
He's on the west side.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? All right. I'll close public comment and the matter is before us. There's a resolution appointing Michael Weston to the position of city manager of the city of Troutdale, effective August 25th, 2025.
Okay, I'll try it. So I move to make a motion on 3.2, a resolution appointing Michael Weston to the position of, for city manager of the city of Troutdale, effective August 25th, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay. Sarah, please call the roll.
Okay. Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Davidson,
Yes.
Counselor Leamy,
Yes.
Counselor Andrews,
Yes.
Counselor Allen,
Yes.
Counselor One,
Yes.
Mayor Whitman.
Yes. All right, very good.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Aaron. On to item 3.3, a resolution authorizing a real property purchase of 921 South Buxton Road in Troutdale.
Great, thank you, Mayor. The history I will be very short on since you're all very familiar with it. We moved out of City Hall on Kibling approximately 12, 13 years ago. And we are been in temporary space for those 13 years, still called temporary space, in 2 rental spaces right downtown Troutdale. We have tried over the years many different options to find an appropriate city hall. Either they failed because the property owners were not willing to work with us, or the citizens voted down a bond levy we had a number of years ago. And so we have struggled to find an option. The city has limited amount of property to build one on, and like the property next door here where the CCB building is, that would be quite a shoehorn to use that property for City Hall, and we already know the parking in this region is gonna be pretty tight as we go down the road. In all of this process last spring, the Troutdale Community Church up at 9th and Buxton, up the hill from us, came up for sale. We've been working with them for 3 months, and we have come to a deal to purchase the 2 acres that the church sits on for $1.1 million. The property has approximately a little over 4,000 square feet of space that would be relatively easy at a cost of $400,000 to convert it with roofs on, walls, electrical, and turn it into a space where both downtown city offices could be consolidated into one location. It has parking, which would be nice, and we won't be imposing upon downtown parking by having our employees parking downtown also. It is also close enough to downtown to be readily identifiable. If you look at a map, it's geographically just about the middle of the city. And in saying all that, it is for the future, and this is something that we have to talk about. And for those of you at the PSWAG meeting last night, a citizen, commented on, we've got to make decisions based upon the future and what's best for Troutdale. In the future, 20, 30 years, I believe the citizens will be thrilled that we purchased 2 acres that we've been able to utilize as a city hall and stick-built buildings. They will be easy to convert, so they won't look like a church property, because you've all been by it now. They're stick-built buildings. There's nothing too churchy about them, so that we were able to convert it. But they will have 2 acres, which are perfect location and a perfect size to be able to put a city hall somewhere down the road. And so even though it may not be the best time to be making that purchase with the way things are with the general fund, when you have an opportunity to invest for the future, it's wise to do it, and bringing at least 2 offices together benefits the citizens and the staff. And I don't want to harken back to the Frank Windust problem of a decade ago when we tried to buy the 3 acres next door here, and we just didn't pull that one off. Then the county swooped in, 6 months later and said, oh, we'll buy it, and they bought it. And we lost a location that would have really been nice to have for this kind of thing. So up the street, we have another one. We have done all our due diligence. We have had a comprehensive inspection of the property. From that inspection, we've been able to create a budget with bids for what it would take to do the upgrades necessary to move city staff in there. We have, even our own crew went up there and checked the sewer line. It looks pretty dang good with our camera. With the title report, the last contingency in the purchase was all of that, and the council vote. The one contingency that was also fulfilled a week and a half ago was we are paying $1.1 million for the property. The appraisal came in at 1.08. So literally the exact same price we've agreed to pay for the property. And the Troutdale Community Church is closing after we close on this. They're going to try to close simultaneously to purchase the church up around the corner, the Lutheran church, where the chapel currently is located, just around the corner. They needed a bigger space. And so it worked out well for them. Yeah, I think it's going to work out well for the city. So with all that information, Mayor, all we need to do is to approve the sales for council to vote to approve the resolution. And we would look to close sometime in August and then start the process of remodeling the property, be ready to go for moving staff in, I would guess, in about a year. So
All right,
that's the deal.
thank you. Sounds good. Any questions from council? Right, well, we're going to be considering a resolution authorizing a real property purchase of 921 South Buxton Road in Troutdale. So I'll open it to public comment at this time on this matter. Anyone on Zoom wish to address the council?
Mayor Rittman, Paul Wilcox, Troutdale.
Yes, Paul.
I just have one question. Is it just going to be the downtown staff that relocates?
Yes, the property that we have had FFA architects who we've worked with on several projects in the city before, wonderful architectural organization. They did a space layout for us based upon our needs, and there would be sufficient space for the 2 downtown offices to move into that space so that all of our storefront, city hall, and all of our administrative staff can move into that building. And I'm also just throwing out possibilities down the road. Depending on where things go down the road, it's also easy to expand behind it with either manufactured buildings to add to it if we wanted to move something like community development there. So it's got the room behind it to be able to do that. So yeah, we would be able to move all of our downtown offices up to this location.
All right. Anyone else on Zoom? Public comment. How about here in the room? Anyone wish to address the council on this matter? All right, seeing no one, I'll close public comment. And the matter is before us. It's a resolution authorizing real property purchase of 921 South Buxton Road in Troutdale.
I'll propose a resolution authorizing a real estate property purchase of 921 South Buxton Road in Troutdale.
Second.
Okay. Sarah, please call the roll.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Davidson,
Yes.
Counselor Leamy,
Yes.
Counselor Andrews,
Yes.
Counselor Allen,
Yes.
Counselor One,
Yes.
Mayor Whitmer.
Yes. All right, great. We'll move on to agenda item 3.4, which was just added. And this is a report from the Public Safety Delivery Working Group. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to keep this short and direct since most of you, 3 of you were on the committee last night. And we are rolling toward hopefully a very short meeting, which makes up for all the hard work you've done over the last couple months in meetings before we enter into our break for the summer. Primarily, we've been dealing with the fire safety issue, fire district issues, and the city of Gresham fire. Of course, the law enforcement contract has been signed. It's for 3 years, and that's been settled for now. But fire is still ongoing because part of the contract we have with Gresham was that we only have a 1-year contract with Gresham Fire. And in the contract is the 4 cities need to put their heads together and see if we can come up with a collective solution for the future. One of the things that's been holding that collective future at bay for a couple of years is Gresham has had a lot of changeover in staff leadership over there. It's kind of slowed things down, in my opinion. And so they've not been really understanding of what they can want to proceed for into the future. Well, luckily, last week, the City of Gresham Council got their report from their financial expert, their economist, who told them that you guys cannot afford to pay for your fire department out of your general fund much longer. It's going to kill you. And that if you join a fire district, you'll have some upfront cost to transfer your fire department over to them. But throwing everything in, compression is almost non-existent in terms of costing you money. I think the report said like 1.4 million out of their $36 million in property tax income, so compression's a non-factor for them. But the report said they would save from their budget $23 million a year if the fire department left their budget, which they could devote to, of course, police and parks like we would do in the same situation. So we are very thankful to now know that Gresham has finally joined what Wood Village, Fairview, and Troutdale has known for a couple of years, that giving the citizens that choice might be the best for the future. So we discussed a lot of that last night, and a lot of what the group had last night was a lot of reports to review. It's kind of your summer reading assignment for the summer, and I emailed all of the 4 of you who weren't there last night. I emailed you all the documents that the committee had last night, which is Troutdale's economic report that says joining a fire district would probably cost us, I think it's $150,000 to $180,000 a year in property taxes due to compression out of our $7 million in property tax revenue. But of course, joining a fire district would mean next budget year, $3.2 million would come off of our expenses. So we lose $180,000, but we gain back $3.2 million, which, as we've discussed before, would allow us to bring back the Troutdale Police Department and provide more resources for parks. So that economic report is in the packet I sent to you, and it's on It's online for the PSWAG packet. There's also a short economic study for Gresham's compression impact, because Gresham had taken so long to get their report done. We asked our economist who did it for Troutdale, Wood Village, and Fairview, can you do a short little memo and tell us what was Gresham? Because if you understand how these compression study works, is that there's a lot of assumptions in them, and your assumptions can radically change numbers. It was interesting that the economic report that we had done, a shorthand version, was almost the exact same results as Gresham's economic report. And it's like the impact of compression is de minimis. There's also included in there, Gresham's full report is in the email I sent to all you in the packet, along with their PowerPoint that their council got last week. There's also a feasibility study led by Wood Village. The 3 cities shared in a feasibility study that analyzed what are all our options for fire services in Troutdale, Wood Village, and Fairview. AP Triton did that report, and the final report is in those documents for you to review. It's a longer report, but it's fairly comprehensive, so you got that to read. There's also a memo from the Gresham Fire Union and the Clackamas County Fire District 1 expressing their concerns if we chose Fire District 1. It's information, their opinion on that issue for your review. So it's just a lot of information as we come into this next year, as we've talked before about looking into pursuing possibly putting a ballot measure on May of 2026. Also, last night, a big part of the meeting was having Praxis, a political consulting firm who helps a lot of jurisdictions do these kinds of ballot measures. And they were there walking through with the committee all of the permutations, how it works, what you look to, how you plan it out. I thought they did a really good explanation. And in the stuff that was sent to you today was their PowerPoint from last night. So you can look at that too to get yourself up to speed, the things they said. And so I think they're going to be a great company to work with. They're already under contract with Wood Village to help them with what they're going to put on the ballot in May of 26. And so I think continuing with them, we've been impressed with them. They've been responsive, and it would allow some consistent messaging and shared messaging. Along that line too, interesting enough, Clackamas County Fire District 1 had additional funds in their budget this last year for community outreach and polling. And for want of a better term, they gave the 3 cities a grant to do a poll of $30,000 that Wood Village is managing, so we can start doing some polling of our citizens about a vote for a fire district, which is very critical to knowing what the citizens are open to, what messaging is important to those citizens. So we're getting that going right now, the firm's going. So we're doing all these things because we got to get going if we're going to get something done before next budget year. And as Eric alluded to, and I've said many times, is I need to make sure our train is going clearly, smoothly, fast when Mike jumps on, so there's no adjustment delay because we can't afford a delay. We need to keep moving on this. The cities are looking to be close to moving in the same direction, and that's the last thing to let you know is that last week we had a very good meeting among the 4 cities, along with the finance director of Gresham and the fire chief of Gresham, where we talked about, and one of the forms you got mailed was the green light thinking. What are all the 8+ options that the 4 cities or the different cities could do? And we had that meeting. We're having another meeting in 2 weeks where Fire District 10 is going to join our meeting, and we'll talk to them about the options. Then we have another meeting scheduled 2 weeks after that where Fire District 1 is going to come talk to us about all the options for the future. And then we'll have a follow-up meeting after that among the 4 cities to talk about what do we learn from all that, and to start to get some feeling, do we think we're going on the same direction? And then on August 25th, after all that work is done and Mr. Weston is in this chair, we will have another PSWAG meeting to kind of bring everything together to where we're at now, so that hopefully by September, the council can make some hard decisions about what pathway you want to go in terms of our future fire service in Troutdale. So there's a lot of work ahead, but I think the last couple of years that we have focused on this issue for police and fire have been very helpful, because all of you and the citizens are much more informed now than they would have been if we hadn't done the last couple of years of work. And I think we're way ahead of the game when it comes to some other jurisdictions among the 4 cities. So I think you should applaud yourself for being so forward thinking, and we are moving forward, and we've already dealt with a lot of issues, and we have a lot of good studies. So that's where I'm Mayor. So the next thing you'll hear about it is the August 26th council meeting, when we'll report on all those meetings and what the 4 cities have learned in the next 2 months. You may get a break till August 26th, but meetings will continue between now and then for staff. So, because the job doesn't end just because you're on a break, and you deserve it. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks, Ray. Questions from the council?
I have one. Since you're having all these meetings, bless you, are we allowed to attend to hear what those meetings, what's being said in those meetings, so we can get a better idea?
They are not public meetings, it is just staff level meetings. I mean, I will be happy to make good notes of them, like I sent you the, Gresham provided that green light thinking list of things that I forwarded on to you. I will do a similar thing for each of the meeting, gives you an executive summary of what was discussed, what issues were covered, just informational. So I'm happy to do that.
Glenn?
Is there a backup plan in case a district doesn't pass?
We always have backup plans. It doesn't mean they're favorable. I mean, as we mentioned last night, and our budget chair gave me a dirty look, but that's okay. Depending on where things go, we could continue a contract with Gresham or with Fire District 1 after July 1st of 2026. It would require raising more funds or cutting more budget. I know we've talked before about possibly if we get to that point, if a ballot measure fails, joining a fire district fails the next spring, there is the option of, say, doubling the police and fire fee to help with the additional costs that we have. That would get us a little farther along. Most experts will tell you, you should be prepared to think it may take at least 2 votes to get something approved. Gresham had to take 2 votes to get their local option levy approved. So we have some options to continue for another year. But as we've talked before, in the long term, it's going to take significant cuts in services and potentially increase the cost to citizens if we don't do something to change the whole dynamics of how we conduct fire service. So yeah, we can go along, not happily, but we luckily we have a decent ending fund balance that will help us through the this budget year and next budget year. But our job, I think, is to communicate to the citizens, this is the best option we've come up with. This is what it'll provide you. And if we don't get this, these are the things we're going to face in the future. Just being honest, they're not threatening anything. I've already come up with, as I mentioned to Ed and Eric at dinner time tonight, I already have the sign figured out for the joining a fire district vote. The sign says, bring back the Troutdale police. Vote yes on measure number, blah, blah, blah. Because that's in essence the best selling point we have, because it will allow us the funds to do that. And as most of you know from the people you talked to over the years and our committees and stuff, everybody misses the Troutdale police, the local control, the local connection. It would be a blessing to this community to bring them back. And so I think that is, it's going to cost more to join a fire district, but if the citizens know they're getting something they want, it makes it easier for them to vote yes. And that's what we're hoping for. And that's what the planning is pointed toward.
And the reason they can't do it directly to form a police district is the statutes don't provide for that. That's the only reason.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have another question. I know this is a budget question. So I know that the money goes into general fund, and I know that we were just charged $15 because I just paid that bill out, I want to say.
Oh, no, August bill, you'll be.
Oh, no, Rick said it was on our bill for some reason.
Well, tell Mr. Allen to check the bill
He's
again.
wrong?
It will show up.
Okay.
Because we bill for the preceding month, and so the August bill represents your charges for July.
It will show up.
Right, boss?
So maybe he was just talking to me about adding numbers and adding the 15 to it. So here's my question, is because I'm very simple when it comes to budgets in my thinking. Is there any way under the budget that we can have a specific line that says where the $15 goes so we can track it? I know it goes in the whole general fund, but that whole general fund is really difficult to understand. And my simplistic mind wants me to know if there's a line that we can say, here is where the money goes.
Mr. Mueller will answer your question from the back of the house, and with our wonderful new speakers, I'm sure we'll be able to hear him.
There is a specific line in the budget that was adopted that money goes into, that we'll be able to report on how much was received and then what's proposed for the coming year. It's isolated.
So maybe you can show me where that is so I can look at that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Well, any public comment on the report on the Public Safety Delivery Working Group? It's working hard on the police and fire matters. Anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, anyone in the chambers here? All right, well, we're not actually voting on anything, but thank you, Ray. That was very good. Move on to agenda item number 4, staff communications.
Okay, number 1, as I've indicated already, you have no meeting scheduled till August 26th. The only exception I might make of that, there may be some small issue that you have to vote on for the URA as we're working through the exclusive negotiating agreement. But if we did that, that would be a very relatively short meeting where we'd of course give you Zoom options, so you wouldn't even have to be here. But that's the only thing we don't know if we're gonna need to, but that may be on there. But other than that, your calendar's clear till August 26th. Number 2, don't forget though, in the middle of that, July 25th, we have movies in the park. We had to lose the last one because of rain, but we've got the original Star Wars movie and the reboot of Star Trek 2009 will be there that night in the park, great double feature. And then right after that, we have First Friday on August 1st. It should be a great event that evening. An update, number 4, if you recall, Waste Management started a program in Troutdale, fiber recycling, which is all your clothes. You can just take them out there, put them in a bag, identify them. It's been very successful. The citizens have been very responsive to donate their clothes and have them taken away from them. So that's worked out really well. And finally, just to let you know, staff has spent a lot of time, a lot of work. We've gotten a lot of feedback on the parking in Glen Auto and the pay to park. And just want everybody to understand that we are being very nimble. We are listening to all the input from citizens and goers to the park, and we are adjusting on the fly to make sure that it becomes a process and a system that is easy to understand and is not punitive to users of the other facilities at the park. And so we are working very hard. It's an experimental summer. It's gonna start this Thursday. However, say this quietly, nobody's gonna get a ticket for the first 30 days. It's about education. And so we're working on some other things, and I'll be able to report on it more, or Mike can report on it more next time. But just understand that you may hear hues and cries from the people about concerns. We are listening and we are adjusting. Travis and Jonah and I are working really hard to make sure this new thing meets the needs of the community in all fashions. So just be assured we do hear what everybody's saying, and we're trying to adjust. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Before I move on to council communications, I just want to say that this ends up being Ray's last council meeting where he is the city manager. And because by the time we meet on August 26th, we'll have our new manager, Mike Weston. But that being the case, I just want to say what a privilege it's been to work with you. I've gone through many city managers in my many years on the council and as mayor, and Ray, you're the best. I mean, you're just great. So I
appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to serve with all of you. Having a council, it's great I've had here, and mayors I've had, it's really been a blessing to do the work. You've made my job a lot easier, and so I thank you for that. And my successor will be blessed by you.
Well, I'll just give a short, and this is going to be short, but Ray has been involved with the city for many years. He was our city prosecutor first. I mean, he did other things before that, but for the city of Troutdale, he was our prosecutor in the 1980s. In March 1992, he became Troutdale's municipal court judge. And I was good friends with his clerk. Oh, I still am.
I was gonna say, careful, she may hear this, that you said was.
I still am. And only heard good things. Let's just put it that way.
I was 33 years old then, and now I'm twice that age come next month.
Gasp, hard to believe. Then he was our judge until he became the interim city manager. And we were in a search for a city manager, and Ray's name came up, and he really hadn't done that job before, but everybody knew him, everybody worked with him, liked him. People who worked directly under him liked him. I liked him, and the council ended up hiring him. He became our city manager on March 1st, 2017, and has been and will be up till the I guess, the 25th of August. So anyway, thanks again, Ray. I don't know if others on the council wish to say a few words about Ray before we go to council communications.
It's a short meeting, don't make it any longer than you have to.
No, that's the thing, but we can't help ourselves.
I appreciate that. I do.
Glenn, you're up.
This is fun because Ray has trouble processing compliments.
I do, I'm gonna sit here and take it.
We'll let you squirm here, but no, I echo what Dave said, and I'm glad I never ran into you when you were our judge. That was a worry of mine before Ray, but I think a lot of your background helped prepare you for the job of city manager, none better than marriage counselor. So, you kind of came in during a hard time too, and I think staff morale was at an all-time low, and council was having its share of troubles, and it got straightened out fairly quickly. And you also have left a nice legacy for us in Troutdale by hiring good people, and I thank you for that. And that's a compliment to our staff as well. And whenever I'd go to meetings, we'd have other city managers, nothing against them, but I was always glad that we had Ray, because, you could just see the quality stand out in him. So, and everyone in the region, no matter where we'd go, we were up in Seattle at Amazon, and there's the governor, and she knows Ray quite well. So, I think those connections that Ray made throughout his career really helped us out here. And I gotta say, the town's thriving more than I've ever seen it thrive right now. And I think Ray got more done than any other city manager I've ever. Weston will be my 5th one, so that's saying a lot for Ray. He definitely put the time in, and I think he knew how to kind of be flexible to make things work. So I'll always remember that. And let's see. And with your legal background, and Dave's and Ed, I feel sorry for anybody that ever tried to come up against this group. So thank you very much, Ray, for your service. I'll always remember you. You're always welcome in Troutdale.
Thank you, Councilor White. I'll always make sure how hunting season went for you too.
All right, we'll stay in touch.
Keep checking in on.
Anyone else?
I know I've appreciated Ray, especially since I've been on council, that I could just pick up the phone and call and you call me back. That's a lot. And I've known you since since Rick was on council years and years ago. So I'm sad to see you go, but I'm excited for your next adventure. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah, I've only been on council a little bit, but you sure did make it easy coming on. Yeah, so I really appreciate it, all your service to the city.
Been involved in this town for a good many years, and you're well respected in the region, both in the city and in the community. Thank you.
Jeffrey,
Hey
Zach?
there. I'll go next. I got my hand up here. Yeah, Ray, I just want to say, I think you honestly said it best when you were advising us on choosing the next city manager, in that we should be looking for a defender of Troutdale. And I would say that's what I will remember you and be thankful to you for being. I'd say that's a really good descriptor for what you've done for this town. You've given a lot of yourself to this town. You've worked smart and hard, and I just think of you as a true leader. And I really enjoyed our chats about travel and life at large. And I'm glad you're going to be doing more of that. And I wish we had time for more of those chats in this role, but I'm hoping we still get that chance in the future. And I really just appreciate you big time. So thank you for everything, Ray.
Well, I don't want to follow Zach. That was really well said. But I'm actually excited for Ray to retire. I think it's awesome. He's put in a lot of time. And so I'm looking forward to maybe playing some golf, and excited for your next adventure in life. And we, like I said, really appreciate you and what you did for the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Wynn.
All right, well, let's move on to council communications. Glenn? Anything else?
I had the pleasure of going to the Corbett Fourth of July parade. I saw some staff members were up there as well, and then the fireworks show. So they really have a good sense of community up there. And I was also impressed, I know they have a volunteer fire department, and they have these rigs in the parade that I couldn't believe what they were able to pull off with the volunteer fire department. So I'm looking forward to our summer break.
I don't think I have anything.
Okay, Tom?
After First Friday, next day is the cruise in, so I'll have that. And I saw your post about the Corbett fireworks. I got to enjoy an equally spectacular fireworks display from my deck of the apartments, the new apartment complex that went in on Halsey. It was like an hour long of illegal fireworks. Anyway.
That's where it was coming from.
It was. Like, where are the police?
They're hiding.
Happy 4th of July.
It's a war out there.
It was. No, it was spectacular.
Okay, thanks. Zach, anything?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say, with the future of the potential property here for City Hall, and other civil purposes as we go on, I'm excited about the opportunity we have there, like long in the future. I think it'd be a great eventual, obviously once we kind of get in the clear, budgetarily speaking, I think having a nice campus there and maybe keeping some of those big trees and just having a nice building that we can all be proud of and kind of the center of the city there is something that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys, and here's Ezra saying hi. But yeah, I'm looking forward to break as well, but if you guys need me for anything, definitely feel free to reach out, and be happy to do some grilling on the deck.
Carol?
I'm looking forward to the summer break. I am excited about the new building that we have for the city hall. I think it'll be great. We have a lot of things coming up in the fall in the next few years that we're going to be working on. I'm excited about the URA. I do have a question on the URA. I had heard some things, so I don't know if I should address it here or just talk to you later.
Call me later.
But I'm excited, so
Okay, great.
I'm just excited for summer break. Hopefully everybody enjoys themselves. Get us rejuvenated for I'm sure it was going to be a busy fall on getting to know Mike. So I again just appreciate you all, and look forward to a little break.
Yeah, I wish everyone a nice summer. I'm amazed always at how fast the summer break is gone. It's over before you know it. But so enjoy. It starts tomorrow, and with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
second.
All in favor, say aye. 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 Anyone opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Too bad. Not a record, but close enough.
Will never be beat.